Right then, Mr. Bisping, how does this sound, right? Thursday night, BT Sport 3, Michael Bisping night. Looking back at all the great fights, building us up, showing everybody off. That British pioneer of MMA, man. That is a madness. When you think back to how all this started, that we're actually having this conversation, that we're dedicating a full night. It's crazy.
Yeah, mate, it's kind of funny actually, because I was just having lunch with my wife and kids, and I'm sitting there and I said, I've got to do this interview for BT Sport because they're doing a Michael Bisping night. And my son just started laughing his head off because he takes the mickey out of me all the time. He's like, what? A Michael Bisping night? Who do you think you are? Mate, that's amazing. It's incredible. It really is. It's been a long journey. And I've loved it every step of the way, obviously, but I'll never forget the support I got from the UK fans. As fans, I hate saying that. The support I got from the UK public, it was just phenomenal. I'll never forget. Obviously, I was on the Ultimate Fighter 3, and then my first fight in England was UFC 70 at the Manchester MEN. And, I know there's some UFC supporters out there, but I didn't realize that, a lot of people have been watching The Ultimate Fighter. And then when I walked out there, I was backstage just playing it all cool. And then when I walked out into the arena, the place just erupted and went crazy. And I don't know if you saw the fight, but I sprinted to the arena, to the octagon like a madman. Because when the crowd went mental like that, my adrenaline spiked. And so anyway, I'll never forget the support. So I'm very touched. I'm very humbled. And thank you, BT Sport.
Well, and that fight that you're talking about there was relatively early on in the career. If I may, I just want to go slightly before UFC, right? Because
please,
I remember growing up in Blackburn, DJing on the scene, and a lot of my mates would say, there's this DJ called Mikey B, right? And he's into this cage fight, and he's doing all this kickboxing and all this type of carry on. So your name was constantly in my life all the way through building my media career, Right. So talk to me about balancing that, because of where you've got to now, because you were DJing, you were working proper jobs, you were obviously dedicating yourself to martial arts as well, kickboxing at that time. How hard is that, man? How hard is it to keep the dream alive when you've actually got bills to pay?
Yeah, well, listen, I was always lucky. I had a very supportive girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now, obviously. So that definitely helped, But I left school at 16, like a lot of lads out there in the Northwest particularly. Left school at 16, no idea where I was going to go. Do you know what I mean? And I remember I got a job for £120 a week. And I thought I was loaded. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've got 120 quid a week. I give my mum a tenner or 20 quid. I've got 100 quid to go and spend on whatever I want. And I thought everyone going off to college and university, I thought, you're out of your minds. You soon come to realize that £100 or 120 quid does not go far. Certainly when children come along, right? So it was... Yeah. I had a few years there. I was DJing a bit at the weekends. I was still, dabbling with the mixed martial arts. I was trying to DJ, as I said. But then I came to a point where I was like, I was working hard all week, and then you pay your taxes, you get home, and there's nothing left, especially when you got two kids. That's what it was at the time. I'm like, sorry, pardon my language. I'm like, there's got to be more to life than this. You know what I mean? So, and I remember my boss at the time, he said, because we talk all day long, and he'd say, Michael, you're a smart kid. He said, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? I said, no offense. I don't want to do it for another week. He says, well, give it some thought. So I said, okay. And I went away and I gave it some thought. And I kept coming back to fighting because I did martial arts since I was 8 years old. I've been a world champion at this and that. And I thought the UFC is getting big. I fancy my chances. So I went into work one day and he was called Mick. I said, hey, Mick, I've been giving it some thought. I figured out what I'm going to do. And he puts his tools down. He puts his tools down. He walks over and he's like, all excited for me. He says, okay, lay it on me, Michael. What have you got? And I said, I'm going to be a professional fighter. And he was like, oh, my God. As if like the biggest numpty he's ever heard of in his life. He's like, I thought you were smart. I'm like, no, Mick, I know what I'm doing. So anyway, that's what I did. I set my sights on it. I always set my sights on being in the UFC and hopefully being champion of the world one day. It wasn't easy. A lot of ups and lots of downs. I definitely got the mickey taken out of me at work. People were like, he thinks he's going to be a professional fighter. Well, I guarantee you lads at Contrast Upholstery aren't laughing now.
Before we get to the UFC, you go on this fantastic run domestically. Cage Rage, Cage Warriors, obviously winning the regional final before you get on to Tough and stuff like that. Talk to me about that as well, because, again, it's not major money at that time. But
Yeah.
the focus must have been the thing that kept you going, knowing full well that the journey is taking you to the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in anything in life, you don't start at the top. You've always got to work your way up. Like, look at you now. You're flying high. I see you all the time. BT Sport. You're doing your podcast with Dan Hardy. You're a big deal, Adam Catterall. But back in those days, DJing in Blackburn, you know, I'm sure you got some horror stories yourself. But
Absolutely.
It's like anything in life. The cream always rises to the crop, right? So, yeah, money was tight. Money was hard. I would go down to Nottingham. I would train there. A lot of the time, I'd sleep in my car. I drive home at the weekend. I DJ. Fortunately, my girlfriend / wife now, she was working as well. So between us, we just about enough managed to keep our head above water. Fortunately, her mum and dad, the in-laws, they lent us a few quid along the way. You know, we're not talking a lot. I was always calling my mum and saying, "Mum, lend me a tenner so I can put petrol in the car." Yeah, you know, and then, but you start making grounds, you know, and then that validates your reason for doing it. You know what I mean? So, you know, when I won my first fight, I remember my first ever pro fight. I'd quit work. I'd moved to another city. I put a lot into this, and I'm backstage. And obviously, right before you go out for a fight, that's when you start to have those real negative thoughts. Those demons creep in. And that's where the nerves come. For any sportsman, that's, you know, the self-doubt, that's what takes over. And I was thinking to myself, man, I've put a lot into this. And if I can't win this first fight here in some crappy sports hall in Sunderland or wherever I was, how the hell am I going to make it to Las Vegas, to the MGM Grand? So, I went out there, fortunately, got the job done pretty quick. Second fight, got that done. You know, and then I became Cage Race champion, then Cage Warriors champion. So then, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. I'm on the right path. I'm doing it for the right reasons. And then, of course, the Ultimate Fighter came along and the rest is history.
Well, it isn't, because the Ultimate Fighter, see, well, it's made for you. It seemed made for you. That TV show at that time, I mean, it's a lot different now for a lot of new fans coming to the sport. They'll look at Ultimate Fighter and they'll probably not get it. But right then, Tough 3, it was mega. It was a big, big thing. And to have a British guy going over there, from my point of view, watching the Northwest accent absolutely annihilating the American fighters, man.
Oh, mate, it's hilarious. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know, back then on the Ultimate Fighter 3, they would put subtitles on me, and now they've got me commentating the UFC. I'm like, what is going on? But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, but that was for all British fans to see one of their own cutting it with the big boys in America, because you had to go over there, you obviously up sticks, take risks, take a big chance of going over there. You had to win in order to get that contract, you know. That in itself is one of those things that you can look back at, and it's a make or break moment, that Tough House.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I remember at the time when I got there, I was sizing everybody up as my obvious competition. And a lot of people, some people, they're there for the wrong reasons. They're there for a bit of fame. They want the 5 minutes of fame in the spotlight, whatever it was. But I was there, you know, to try and make a better life for myself and my family and my children. Simple as that. And while, you know, I'll always have a laugh, I'll always mess around. Wherever I go, I'm not very serious for a long time until it's time to be serious. And when it comes to the training, I'm serious. And when it comes to the fight, obviously, you can't mess around in there. So I never lost sight of why I was there. And you know, fortunately, I was able to get the job done, along with another Englishman, by the way, Ross Poynton. Got to give Ross, good old Ross, a shout. I hope you're well, mate. So, yeah, we went out there, we flew the flag, and it was a great time. You know, it was a life-changing experience.
Talk to me about defeat and suffering that the first time, because you enter the UFC as a light heavyweight.
Yep.
And then you run into Rashad, and obviously that's your first defeat there. So talk to me about dealing with that and the psychology of that.
Yeah, Sean. 20 minutes, but screw it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. So I'll be late for the appointment. Yeah, of course, you know, things were going well, right? I was 10-0 going to the UFC. I'd KJ champion, Cage Warriors champ, FX3, British kickboxing champion. Sounds like I'm bragging, but that was the situation, right?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and I get there and I think, oh, I'm on my way here, you know, and you know, you win your first fight, you win your second, you win your third, and then I'm fighting my first main event in Newark, New Jersey, and I go out there and I'm fighting Rashad Evans. And I remember a coach of mine at the time said, Mike, they're throwing you to the wolves. What are you doing? Don't take this fight. And I'm like, hold on, steady on, mate. I thought you meant to be my coach in my corner. But anyway, but he meant well. He meant well. But I went out there. And the fight was a razor-close split decision. Controversial, some may say. A lot of people said it was a robbery, but whatever. It was a close fight, and he got the decision, and God bless him. Good for him. But afterwards, obviously, you don't want to make a habit of losing fights, right? That was the first time I tasted defeat, and you don't want to, as I say, make a habit of that. So I took a long look at the situation, and I'll never forget on the day when everybody makes weight, He was sat in the sauna with his whole team with the sweatsuits on. He's trying to kill himself almost to make the weight. I was sat with these numpties that were training me at the time, sat with these numpties in a Chinese restaurant, eating noodles and drinking 7-Up, right? So when I lost my first fight, I'm like, I'm not really making the sacrifices I could be making to be the best fighter I can be. Obviously, I've got to go down a weight class. I remember when I fought in Manchester, UFC 70, right? I'm from near Manchester, just outside Clitheroe. Shouts out Clitheroe. And I'm there, and I was in Manchester, and every man and the dog are asking me for tickets, like they always do, right? And I'm like, I'm loving it because it's my first time, right? I'm in the limelight, I'm the man, so I'm like, yeah, I'll get you tickets. And I remember the day before the weigh-in, I was in my room, I was on my hands and knees, there was tickets everywhere, there was cash all over the place. It was the most stressful thing ever. I left school at 16, right? Numbers, stuff like that, it messes with my head a little bit. I'm joking, I'm good at math. Anyway, so I was so stressed out, and I thought, I'm going to go sleep in my own bed tonight, not the hotel. So I'm driving back to Clitheroe, and I'm going past Charnock Richard Services, and I just see the sign for Burger King. And I was so stressed out, I forgot I was fighting the next 2 days. The next day, I was making weight. So I go into Burger King. I don't eat fast food anymore. I'm a changed man. But I go into Burger King, and I get a triple Whopper with cheese and bacon, fries, and a Coke. And I'm sitting there. And when you get the end of the drink, it makes that sound. As I'm like, oh, my God, what am I doing? I've got to weigh in tomorrow. Anyway, point of the story is I still just walked on the scale. I was fighting at the wrong weight class. So as I say, after the Rashad fight, I thought, well, I've got to, if you can't beat him, join him. So I'll start cutting weight. And I moved down to 185.
And you went on this crazy run at middleweight. But at the start of it, if you remember, there's still a few bumps in there, wasn't there? Because obviously you had the eliminators with Chael and all, and obviously
and
UFC
Henderson.
Yeah, you run into Henderson at UFC 100. Talk to me about that one, actually, UFC 100, because that's a signature event. Everybody's bigging it up. Brock's there, you know what I mean? The eyes of the world are on this event. You're taking on Dan Henderson. And the way it ended, that ends a lot of careers, Mike,
Yeah, so listen, and that's kind of where the title of my book came from, Cheeky Plug, Quitters Never Win, available at all good bookstores. In fact, a Sunday Times bestseller. Check it out. Hold on, let me get rid of this person. Oh, God. Right, so obviously UFC 100 at the time, the biggest pay-per-view they've ever done. Still one of the biggest ever. Star-studded event. I'm taking on Dan Henderson at the culmination of Ultimate Fighter, Team UK versus Team USA. By the way, when I look back at how I behaved in those days, I cringe. I'm like, oh my God. When that guy with the skin in, when I grew the hair, a more civilized Bisping came about. And I got away from some certain numpties that I was hanging around with at the time. You might know who they are. Anyway, I go out there, I'm feeling confident. Boom. I get bingoed bad. I'm out. I'm unconscious. I'm in the showers. I don't know where I am. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got there. In my mind, I was fighting in 3 months' time. And I remember saying to my mate, what's going on? They said, Michael, you've fought. You've just been knocked out. I'm like, no, I'm fighting in 3 months. They're like, Michael, you've just been knocked out. Right, we need to take you to the hospital. I'm like, no, I'm fine. So I go back into the shower. A minute later, I come out of the shower. I say, hey, come here. What's going on? They're like, oh, my God. You got to go to the hospital. You've been knocked out. I went, oh, yeah. No, I'm good. Go back into the shower. A minute later, I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, right, that's it. You're going to the hospital. So anyway, I'm sat in the back of an ambulance. There's me and Frank Mir. Frank Mir's just been busted up off Brock Lesnar, right? And I'm sat in the back with my mate, and we're driving along in Las Vegas on the way to the hospital. And I just go, They're like, what's up? I said, well, do you know before when I said what happened? I said, now I get it. And I'll be honest, there was some dark times after that. That was my number one contender fight. I thought I was going to win it. I'd be fighting for the belt. And I've got a documentary coming out soon, actually, that I really go into it and explain it. But yeah, it's tough, But the fact I was able to rebound from that, and I'm talking about myself, but you're asking me questions about myself. So, I guess I can be forgiven. But not a lot of people get to number one contender one time, but I did it 2-3 times. So I was always very proud of that. Beating Anderson Silva was something I was proud of. But, it's like they always say, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And I thought, as long as I've got blood pumping in my veins and the support of the UK, I'll never stop.
But that's the epitome of you, isn't it? Because you've gone to these contenders. You've fallen short, like you just mentioned there, against Henderson, against Chael. you've also the eye injury, man. You know what I mean? I mean, lots of people would have made that a lot more public than you
You want to
did.
see something wild?
No, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Everybody watching this is now going, yeah, get the eye out. No, listen, not for me.
Okay. Well, I can put my eye out now if you want. I don't generally do it unless I've had a few bevies. Then you never know. It's my little party piece. Sorry, what was your question?
Well, I was saying, dealing with that, because a lot of people, they always look for a reason as to why things aren't going right. And there's an obvious reason there for you. You could quite comfortably, after the Vitor fight, you could say, lost an eye, man. My eye's knackered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never did that. You never publicly came out and said, this is the situation. You cracked on regardless.
Yeah, well, because like for me, I had my own hopes and dreams. But more importantly, I was trying to provide a life for my family, for my children.
Yeah.
So my mum and dad, they love me. They did a great job. You know, I'm not here to my mum and dad, part of my language, sorry. But, you know, you always want better for your children. You know what I mean? I wanted to give them everything I could. And to me, as I say, I left school at 16. I'm not an idiot, but I put my heart and soul into being a fighter. And the amount of time and training that you put into being a professional mixed martial artist, you can really go away and become anything, right? The amount of time it takes, you can become a bloody doctor, a bloody lawyer, whatever you want to be. But I put so much time and effort into this, so much commitment. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give up on this now. And yeah, you know, I lost an eye, and I was like, I can still do this. I know I can still do this. And it took some time to develop a new style, because I used to fight behind my jab a lot, right? But then my depth perception was all off. So I was like, I had to touch my opponent first. And once I touched my opponent, then I could gauge the distance better. Then I could start using my jabs and things like that. And there were some tough fights, and I lost some fights. But then I slowly started developing a style. And with the help of my coach out here, Jason Perillo, he really helped. And I started having success again. And then I think I fought I fought Luke Rockhold in Australia. That didn't go.
Just before that, right? You say that, and I'm sure you had conversation with your wife, who probably said, "Listen, Mike, health is wealth, and let's have that conversation." But you fought Kung Lee, right? And I'm looking at that now, knowing what I know now. That is the best technical performance of your career, and you have one eye.
It was one of my best performances and one of my favorites as well, because one of the things that got me into martial arts when I was a kid was Jean-Claude Van Damme. I know that's cheesy to say, but Bloodsport, Kickboxer, all those movies really inspired me as like a 9-year-old kid, right? And I remember I was in Macau, which is just off, just by Hong Kong. So I'm in Hong Kong, essentially. I'm with Kung Lee. I'm doing spinning back fists. There's blood flying all over the place. I'm like, I am on the set of Bloodsport, and I was having the best time of my life. But yeah, you're right. That was a good performance. I always knew I was capable of that. And I think I said that on the microphone afterwards. I said, I know what I'm capable of. That was the start of me showing it. Obviously, my next fight against Rockhold, I ran into another barrier there. But I got revenge in the end.
You did get revenge in the end. Is there, as you look back at it now, nobody could write what happened, but if you could write what happened, could you actually better that? Because the short fight notice, it being Rockhold, last minute, and doing it the way that you did it with a knockout, the big left hook, Larry. Jeez, man.
Left hook, Larry. Yeah, well, I dropped Anderson with the left hook. So yeah, after the Anderson fight, obviously Anderson's a huge name, and for me, beating Anderson, especially in London, and the way the fight went down, that for me was the highlight of my career. And I could have stepped away there. I could have done. And I was fortunate enough to book a movie with Vin Diesel. I'm shooting the new Triple X. I'm up in Toronto. Little name drop there. And I'm up in Toronto, and Ariel Hawani texts me and says, "Hey, Mike, excuse me. Filming was about to looking for a little prep. I was actually in a mall shopping center. I get a lot of stick off the English now for saying the mall.
You're so American.
American. That's what they say. They call it a mall. If I say where's the shopping center, they wouldn't have a clue. Anyway, so I'm in the mall, and I'm looking for some walkie-talkies for my son, because when I was a kid, walkie-talkies were awesome. But he has an iPad and a phone, so I don't know what I was getting him walkie-talkies for. But still, in my mind, walkie-talkies are a legit gift. So I'm looking for walkie-talkies. Ariel Hawani texts me and says, "Hey, Chris Weidman is out of his fight with Luke Rockhold. So if ever there was a time, Mike, now is the time." So I text Dana White. I said, "Hey, if either of them can't make it, I'm in." He texts me back. He said, "Listen, you're awesome. Jacare's our first option. If he won't take it, then you're in." So anyway, I'm like, there's no way Jacare's going to turn that down. So, I go to my mate's house. We watch a football game. I had a few bevies, as you do. I'm a grown man. And anyway, the next morning I wake up. I had to be on set that night. I had a scene. And I'm walking into the gym, just have a little workout, sit in the sauna, sweat out the alcohol, you know what I mean, as you do. And my phone starts lighting up like a Christmas tree. And I look, and it's congrats on the fight, congrats on the fight. Dana White had been on Sports Center and announced that I was fighting for the world title. So I was like, oh, my God, never mind lifting weights or whatever. I've got
in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. And I still got to finish the movie. I still have 2 more days of filming. I get on the scale, and I'm like 217 pounds. I've got to be 185 in 2 weeks. So I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm running through the streets of Toronto like a madman. Right, it's packed out. It's like a miniature New York. I'm running through Toronto. I'm jumping over people. I'm like I'm on the Krypton Factor, right? And I'm running through the streets. I'm speaking to Dana White on the phone. I'm negotiating the fight with Dana as I'm running. And then I call up my coach, Jason. I'm like, I'm fighting for the world title. And the negative emotion started creeping in because I'm thinking, man, and I don't talk about myself in the third person, but I'm like, this is so typical of my career.
Yeah.
Typical of Michael Bisping, right? I get a title fight that I've always wanted. I get it on 2 weeks' notice when I haven't been training against a guy that's already beat me. I'm like, I'm destined to fail. And this is my only ever title shot. So I'm feeling down. I called my boxing coach and he's like, Michael, what are you talking about? He said, you've been training your entire life for this moment. He said, you just beat Anderson Silva not that long ago. He said, how long have you been running? I said, about 45 minutes. He said, how far you been? I said, I don't know, about 4 or 5 miles. He said, Mike, you're in shape. You're in shape. What are you talking about? And by the end of that phone call, I was like, yeah, let's go win a bloody world title. And that's what we did.
How good did that beer taste when you were in the press conference?
Oh, mate, it was the best. It was the best. No, do you know, like, for me, winning that belt, for me, obviously, it was great. For me, it was awesome. But also, it was the validation of all the people that supported me over the years. My wife, my parents, all my friends and family, my manager, my coaches, my training partners, everybody in the UK, everyone that supported me over the years. It was more a thank you to them. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course.
We could see post-fight your, not desperation, but your need to get everybody into that octagon for the picture, for the moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Your wife, your kids, everybody.
Because it wasn't about me. Of course it was about me. But that woman and my children and my manager and everyone had stuck by me for so long. My wife put her whole entire life on hold. She did it to support me. She looked after the kids. All right, she's done all right out of it. We're living a decent gaff out here in America. We've got a pool and that. You know what I mean? We're doing all right. So she's not a victim. No, but jokes aside, she gave up her life to support me, and I'll never forget that, and I was very, very lucky to have that. And so, yeah, as I say, yeah, of course, it was a big moment for me, but it was a big moment for everybody that helped me and supported me along the way, and I'll never forget anybody that gave me a leg up.
Then you had a period of, enjoyment. You had a nice year outside the octagon, obviously, as world champion.
No, you're wrong there, Adam.
Yeah, you went into GSP after that.
Mate, no. Listen, I'm a northern lad, right? I win the championship of the world. It was an epic night out. That's all I'm going to say. Monday morning, I'm on the couch. I'm feeling like death, right? My family, my dad, we've still got a lot of visitors, my own mates from Clitheroe, they're all there. Jacko and the boys, Blanky, they're all there. And I'm like, I get a phone call. It's Dana White. I'm like, well, you always pick up when the boss calls. I'm like, hey, Dana, how you doing? Bit of small talk. He's like, we're thinking you, Dan Henderson, in Manchester in October.
Oh, of course.
I hadn't even got over my hangover from winning the other fight. And then Dana calls and offers me a fight in Manchester. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'd love to get revenge on that old guy because he was cheating at the time. He was on steroids. He was on testosterone replacement therapy, which I knew nothing about. So then we had that one as well.
And that was epic for British fight fans to obviously welcome you home as champion, for you to defend your crown. A crazy time in the morning. I remember walking out the arena at like 6 a.m. or something. It was absolutely mental that night.
For me, that was the highlight of my career because I was terrified, right? I went to Manchester and we did the PR tour and everything. And I knew the fight was happening. I'd be walking into the octagon at like 5:30 a.m., right? And that's a big ask for anyone. It doesn't matter how much you're a fan of someone. 5:30 a.m. And I thought, this is going to be well embarrassing, right? I've come back as the champ and they're not going to sell any tickets. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, lo and behold, sold out, 6 minutes, one of the fastest sellouts ever. I was like, wow. And everyone came. The atmosphere that night was amazing. The noise, I'll never forget it. And that, for me, that was the highlight of my career. Bringing the belt back to England and defending it there at a stupid time o'clock in the morning. So thank you to everyone that came and bought a ticket and watched at home.
That was 2016. Now we have a year out. Now we're enjoying ourselves. And then we get to GSP.
Hold on. We're going to change this narrative a little bit, Adam. We weren't enjoying ourselves. I went off and filmed the movie Triple Threat, and then I had knee surgery.
You're not enjoying yourself? Were you not enjoying yourself during the film?
Right now, I'm always enjoying myself. I've always got a smile on my face. No, I had a couple of knee surgeries. I've actually now had knee replacements, as my body's a bit messed up. Go figure. That's what the appointment is. I'm going to go get my neck worked on. But, I had a couple of knee replacements. But, then George St. Pierre, that came out the woodwork. Madison Square Garden. I'm like, come on. No, let's go.
Man, as kids growing up in the Northwest, Madison Square Garden is against what many would class as the greatest of all time. Yeah. That must just be unbelievable. That must be an unbelievable feeling. And you're going in there as champion.
Yeah. Listen, of course, I lost that fight famously. Hey, I went into that with torn ribs, whatever. Excuses aside, last day of training, I told Maurice, Dean Amasinga, a UK lad from Nottingham. You probably know Dean. Yeah. The last day of training, he shoots him for a takedown like his life depends on it. He wants everyone to see I took Bisping down. And as he lands on top of me, I'm like, and I knew what happened there and then. But there's no way I was going to pull out of that fight, right? It's a massive payday. George is a big name. I'm champion of the world. You get the pay-per-view. It's going to be a big sellout. So and it's just not in my nature anyway, money or not aside. I still think I could beat him. He beat me fair and square on the night, and God bless him. I couldn't think of a better person to choke me out unconscious and take my belt. But the whole moment was just, it was epic. It was epic. You couldn't write it any better. You can't fight forever. And my wife said to me, when I fought Luke Rockhold for the belt, she said to me, right, Michael, so win or lose, you're going to retire, right? I'm like, babe, if I lose, I'll retire. But if I win, you're out of your goddamn mind. You're out of your mind if you think I'm going to. That's when the good times really start. Baby.
That's it. Come on, that's the good times.
You're going to walk away? Are you mental? You know who I am. So anyway, when I lost to George St. Pierre, I was going to retire then. And, as I say, beat me fair and square. That was a massive moment. A lot of people from England came out, the UK, and followed me there. So thank you all for that. And then, I thought I'd have one more. One more for the road. Why not? One more for the road.
On what, 2 weeks, man? Why take that? What was the mentality behind taking the Gastelum fight in China?
So I was retired. In my mind, I was retired. I just hadn't pulled the trigger yet, right? I had too many injuries. Obviously, I got one eye. My knees are destroyed. My neck's destroyed. Bloody, it's just, I'm in pain all the time. I'm like, okay, I've done this enough, and I've achieved my goal. I've won the belt. I've defended it. I've been part of a mega fight at Madison Square Garden, right? I mean, what more is there to do? So that aside, I was going to retire. And then B, as I say, my body was failing me. So mentally, I was retired, but I hadn't said it yet. And I come back from New York. I have a few, I enjoy myself in New York.
Why not?
I come back and there's me, my wife, and the in-laws. They're always at my house. And the in-laws are there, and we're going out for lunch. And Sirius XM, they have a show, a channel dedicated to MMA. And I'm always listening to it. And I'm listening to it. And they say on there, Anderson Silva is out of his fight with Kelvin Gastelum because he's tested positive for steroids. They are actively looking for a replacement on 2 weeks' notice. And I'm like,
yeah, go on. I fancy a trip to China.
I reckon I can take up that chubby little Mexican. No problem. Right? And my wife's like, what are you talking about? And the in-laws are in the back. I'm driving. I haven't been near a gym. I've been on a steady diet of alcohol and whiskey and vodka and cheeseburgers for the last 10 days, enjoying myself. And I'm like, yeah, why not? One for the road. So I called Dana up. You still want someone to? No, you're out of your mind. I said, yeah, I'll do it. Anyway, they made me go through all the medicals again, which was a pain in the backside. And then, sure enough, a couple of days later, I'm on a plane to Shanghai, out to Shanghai with me and the whole boys. Daz Morris, shout out Daz Morris from Manchester, Salford Muay Thai. He was there. So we went out to Shanghai, and I'll never forget because I just made weight because I'm probably like 225 pounds right now. Sorry, I'm speaking in pounds. What's that? 103 kilos, something like that. I've got to make 84 kilos. So I'm way off. And I just made weight for the GSP fight. And for people that don't know, when we dehydrate ourselves, I don't know, maybe 8 kilos. It's a lot, but you've only got so many of them in you. And I made weight for the Kelvin Gastelum fight. I dehydrated myself. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I was like a skinny little weak, pathetic boy. And I thought, my God, what am I doing to myself here? But I went out there in that fight and I fully believed I was going to get the job done. Of course, you've always got to believe yourself in a fight. The moment you think, see, this is the thing. A lot of people think fighters are cocky. And you have to be, because if you're not cocky and you don't believe in yourself, you're already on a fast track to losing that fight. You have to believe that you're going to win. You can't let doubt creep in. So I still thought I was going to win. Anyway, I'd just been choked out unconscious not long ago. I'd done nothing but, I'll have late nights since then. And he caught me with a good one. Fair play to the little rascal. And that was that, I guess.
To finish off then, Mike, punditry. You've got co-coms, you've got books, you've got podcasts, you've got TV career. What else are you cooking up, man?
Yeah. I'm a busy man, to be honest, these days. Things are really good. I've got a few investments. So we've got UFC Gym UK. We're bringing,
of course, yeah,
120 gyms to the UK. So we have one right now in Nottingham, one in Woking, but there's one opening in Medway. There will be a UFC gym coming to a town near you pretty soon. Just keep an eye out for those. And I'm a busy man. We've got lots of things going on, but still, whilst it's all great, nothing comes close to the excitement I had fighting in the UFC. But more importantly, the support I got from everybody. I will never forget it. I'm just an average lad from Clitheroe, for crying out loud. More than average, you know what I mean? And the support I got, honestly, I know I bang on about it a lot. But there's a reason why. It's because it changed my career. In my book, there's a chapter there, and I'm trying to quote it here, but I'm like, I always felt confident going into a fight, but in the UK, I was invincible. And that's because I had that crowd on my side, and it really does make a difference.
Never beaten in the UK, man. Never beaten in the UK. There you go.
Hey, and not beaten that many times anywhere else either, Adam. Come on.
Listen, mate. I'm looking at the resume here and the legends that you have been in with. There's not many people with a resume like yours. That's all I'm going to say, pal. Well done to you.
Mate, I'm only messing.
Well done, you. Thank you so much for your time. I've taken up too much of it, mate. Thank you so much for doing that. We're looking forward to Michael Bisping night.
Oh, I can't wait for it. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. You got to send me a DVD of that or something. But Adam, always a pleasure talking to you. And BT Sport, keep up the good work. I know you guys put out, all the great UFC content to the UK. So it's a massive part of the puzzle, so to speak. So thanks for having me on. And thanks for Michael Bisping night. Take care.